Hi guys, today's video is the 20 things only Americans do and think is normal.
Well, it is technically normal to them.
Yeah.
Just not to everyone else. Like, we do stuff which is normal to us, but you guys are like, oh, that's a bit weird.
Yeah, I'll be interested to know if we actually do these things.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's going to be the general ones. Tipping's going to be, I imagine, one of them. I'm guessing drugs in like pharmacies and stuff. No, sorry, normal stuff in pharmacies is going to be on there. But hopefully, there's going to be some stuff on there which we haven't seen. It's Watch Mojo. We know everyone's not a fan of him, but this video sounds good.
It does.
Are you ready to get into it?
I'm interested.
Smash the like button, guys. Smash the subscribe button. If you didn't know, we're in England and then somewhere in London at some point while these videos are going out.
Yes.
I don't know what days it's going out, so we're pre-recording, so we'd really appreciate if you checked out Patreon. Because what's happening on Patreon?
Early access.
On what?
These videos.
Videos?
Yeah, will it be all of these videos or?
One video every day for 48 hours early access. So pretty much from the 17th, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, 17th of July, which is tomorrow, by the way. Oh. I don't know when this is going out, so it was a couple days ago maybe, but from 17th of July to the 23rd of July, yeah?
Yes.
There'll be early access videos, 48-hour early access, and then following on from that, we're going to be recording some Popeyes and stuff like that, eating things in England.
Yes.
For the first time us doing it, and they'll get 48 hours. Well, they'll get early access, maybe a day early access on the Patreon, but they'll get early access on the Patreon. So if you're excited for them and want to support the channel, the link is in the description. If you've not seen out any of our channels, then yeah,
You're missing out.
You're missing out. Hit that subscribe button. You ready to get into it?
Yeah.
20 things only Americans do. What we got? Oh, I don't know if that'll work. That'll
Good
work.
call in these outfits, dude. It's the only call. You know what I mean?
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 things only Americans do.
We get a ton of shit.
For this list, we're looking at common beliefs
Peanut
and
butter, I
practices
love
in the
that.
United States. They
The
don't need to
spoon.
be exclusively
wrong with that?
American, just something that Americans are known for. If there's something uniquely American that didn't make our list, unite in the comments to state your picks.
Yeah, let us know in the comments.
Number 20, refer to the USA as America.
Nah, you see,
Nah, that's not only Americans.
I'd have thought it'd be the opposite way around. I call
I call it America.
America more than I call it USA.
I never call it USA.
Yeah.
I always refer to everybody that I've spoken to, like in the UK wise, in terms of talking about America.
It's either I'm going to America or I'm going to the US. I've never, hardly ever hear I'm going to USA.
Or I'm going to the United States of America.
Yeah, I read. Yeah, it's always just America.
Always
isn't it?
America.
Yeah,
It's always America.
for us at least.
I thought they referred to it as the USA.
Yeah, I
Outside
did.
of the United States of America, referring to the country as America is much less commonplace. After all, there are two entire continents called America.
True,
comprising,
but I'd call you guys
35
America.
distinct nations. Referring to only one country on one of
Yeah.
those continents as America too is really confusing for anyone who
I don't
doesn't
talk about it
live
as the
there.
continent.
From this day
I don't.
forward, it's going to be only America first. America first.
Calling it the US, USA, the United States, or just the States is much more common in the rest of the world.
Okay.
Even so, everyone still calls its residents Americans, which isn't confusing at all.
You can't say it, but you know it's true.
Number 19, throw gender reveal parties.
It's coming
Cultures
in the
the
UK
world
now.
over have
Oh, you need
traditions
click it
to
with a mouse.
prepare expecting parents
Okay.
and celebrate the expected birth of a child.
You alright?
Thank you so much for throwing me this baby shower, girls. I feel so welcome to the neighborhood.
Of course.
However, Americans have really taken the concept
We
and
didn't do
run with
this.
it. An
Yeah.
entire industry
So what you
has
want to
been
say? I'll
built-
pause it like that. Now you can use that.
Okay. It's definitely been adopted.
Yeah, it's more common in the UK now, but it's an American thing.
Yeah, I think when we talk about it, at least somebody will say that's so American.
Yeah, I mean, we never did it.
We didn't do it. No, we didn't.
We found out the gender, but we didn't do a reveal.
No, we did have a baby shower, but
Yeah.
we didn't do a gender reveal.
Yeah.
built around baby showers, as well as their modern relatives'
I
gender
think I'd
reveal
like to do it for the
parties.
next one.
Emerging in the 2000s,
Maybe.
the latter have become infamous for sometimes absurd levels of showmanship.
I find it just awkward
Some
with everyone
over-the-top
staring at you.
reveals have been responsible for injuries and even disasters. They remain somewhat controversial, with many people, including Americans, not really getting why they're often made into such big deals.
I don't know why, but
Okay.
I'm like gonna cry.
Oh my gosh, why are you gonna cry?
Because I'm just really happy for you.
You look like it. You look like you're happy.
Number 18, experience huge bathroom stall gaps.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we've heard this one. People say this is an exaggeration, though. It is quite big.
It is.
God.
Every country's restrooms have their own quirks, like different sinks and toilet bowls. The US is known for having a high volume of water in their bowls and
heard that
large
as well.
gaps in their bathroom stalls, both under the door and between the door and the walls. Visitors can be taken aback at the lack of privacy. Some hold that they're designed for easy cleaning or construction. Others that it allows one to check which stalls are occupied, although occupancy indicators on the locks can do that too.
That does help.
So you can see if there's someone in there.
I kind of like it though because I'd get panicky. I'd get locked in, so I know I can escape.
Yeah, you can just get. I get it means for safety, but it must feel a bit weird. I mean, nobody, unless you're a weirdo, you're not going to be staring into.
No.
You're not going to make eye
would
contact.
you?
Why we have
Exactly.
locks on the doors?
Well, as a backup system, in case a lock is broken, you can see if it's taken.
A backup system?
It might also make it more difficult to get up to no good in there. Whatever the
True.
case, public bathrooms in the US are built for speed, not comfort.
Would you just sit down and go to the bathroom already?
I think most are, aren't they?
Number
More just for speed.
17, have pharmacies that sell
I've
groceries.
said this one.
In most of the world, pharmacies sell exactly what their name implies, pharmaceuticals. While you will see tangentially related items like grooming products or hygienic things like toothbrushes, pharmacies don't usually carry food or toys. But in the US, that's much more common. The country is all about the all-in-one experience.
Yeah, but that the
Not only
convenience,
will
which I like.
dedicated grocery stores have pharmacies built in, but pharmacies will also carry groceries. Granted, the selection isn't always
That's
great,
bizarre.
but if you're
Yeah.
desperate for milk and the grocery store is closed or you just don't feel like crossing the street to get there, you can get some.
Fair
While
enough.
most of the world
It's easy,
still
innit?
limits
Yeah.
drugstores to drugs and self-care products, we have a feeling this one might catch on. Number 16, vote before they can drink.
Yeah,
That's weird.
it is weird, isn't
The
it?
age at which a person can legally drink alcohol is most commonly 18. The age usually considered to be adulthood, though it is even earlier in some countries.
Yeah, it
The
can be,
voting
can't it?
age on a global
think
scale is
16.
also generally 18, for similar reasons. Although, of course, there are exceptions.
The Voting Rights Act of 1970 lowered the voting age to 18 for national elections, and the 26th Amendment made the change to 18 permanent for all elections.
But yeah, it is a mad thing they can't drink.
stayed for the past 50 years.
However, the United States requires young adults to wait 3 years after being able to vote before legally being allowed to drink at 21. This was enacted during the 1980s to prevent alcohol-related driving accidents.
This
Okay.
law has been an abysmal failure. It hasn't reduced or eliminated drinking. It has simply driven it underground.
Yeah, everyone
behind
just, I imagine,
closed
does
doors,
it quietly
into
now.
the most risky and least manageable of settings.
While it helped in the short term, ultimately it hasn't really stopped teenagers from drinking. The result is that many people, both inside
God,
and
it seemed
outside
mad
the
off.
US,
Going for that.
question the logic of why an 18-year-old American can decide who forms the government but not get buzzed.
The reality is everyone drinks before they turn 21. That's why when you go out for your first legal drink, you have to react with that faux surprise like you've never heard of alcohol before. Ooh, what does this alcohol taste like? Oh, it's unusual. Oh, this is true.
Number 15,
I mean, you can
get
just
free
net 5 of
refills.
them.
One of the biggest differences between American
This is always
restaurants
a
and
big
the
one.
rest of
We
the
miss
world are
this.
their drink services. Most American
Jealous
and many
of
Canadian
this.
restaurants and other establishments will offer at least one free refill of a non-alcoholic drink.
Refill.
Free!
That's gonna be me when I go back.
Yeah.
The idea is that because of the low cost of drinks, particularly fountain soft drinks, offering a refill won't hurt the establishment's bottom line, particularly if drinks are not the primary source of income. However, the idea has been slow to catch on in the rest of the world, and
Yeah,
it's
we don't have
nowhere
that.
near
No.
as consistently offered. Some
We would
countries
love it.
have raised concern that a practice like this can lead to an increase in obesity. Number
I
14.
get that, but at the end of the day, everyone should be responsible for himself in that regard, I think. You
Yeah.
don't have to have the free refill.
No, and also you don't have to have the like 7.
And if you have 7, then just go for a run the next day.
But
You have the
But then
choice.
I feel like people shouldn't miss out on that opportunity because some people would take advantage of it. That's their own fault.
Yeah, if I had 7, I might go for a run the next
But
day.
if you had 7, that's your fault.
Yeah, I'd go for a run.
But
to
why
make up
should
for
I
it,
not be
though.
allowed 2? Because you've had 7.
Yeah, that's a good point. We only
not
get
fair.
one in the UK.
Yeah.
We're going to have 7 when we go
Service
over.
personnel.
All right, everybody cough up some green for the little lady.
Yeah, we spoke about tipping a lot, haven't we? We love the movie clips on
Come
this
on,
channel,
throw in
don't
a
we?
buck.
Watch.
I don't
Mojo.
tip.
You don't
Yeah.
tip?
I'm watching.
No, I don't believe in it.
While the concept of tipping waitstaff or other people in the service industry
It
is
should have gone
known worldwide,
movie mojo.
few countries have embraced the concept to the degree the U.S. has.
Labor movements declare the practice undemocratic, and anti-tipping legislation was enacted across several states.
Oh, wow.
But restaurants and rail operators like the Pullman Company embraced tipping because it allowed them, among other things, to hire recently freed slaves without having to pay them.
Many
don't even
workers,
pay 'em.
particularly in the restaurant industry, rely on gratuities to get by, in part because laws allow managers to pay sub-minimum wages to tipped workers. However, in various other countries, tipping is seen as insulting. They're just doing their jobs, after all.
Each year, Americans spend $40 billion on tips. That's more than we spend on foreign aid and more than we spend on gambling. And
that's a lot of money on
gambling,
tips.
it's not entirely clear that tipping makes any sense in the first place.
While some countries' workers certainly appreciate it, it isn't expected like it is in the U.S.
We wouldn't be getting one
Mostly
after
because
that.
employees are paid a high enough baseline salary that they don't need tips to survive.
Restaurant owners still pay their servers less than minimum wage.
I mean,
turning what
but in the UK, it's because it's just massively in America, it is kind of becoming an expect. In restaurants, definitely.
Well, actually, in certain restaurants, they will take a tip anyway.
They'll just put it on the bill now.
Even though they pay their workers a decent.
Yeah, which by the way, I have no issue because we always tip in restaurants over here. We don't tip any with the bar tip and stuff like that, which we don't do, but that's the unusual side of it, and we don't tip as much.
Nobody does that.
No, it's not me.
That's not a big.
Oh yeah, no, that's not an us thing. That's a UK thing.
Yeah.
99% don't tip a bar, and 99% do probably about a 5 to 10% tip.
Yeah,
at a restaurant.
The bar as well. Like if like the 1% that are tipping, they have the little change pots, so you just chuck your change.
Yeah.
They have like the little tip change.
Nowhere near. It's not like the US one where you're tipping constantly.
But actually,
we've spoke about loads, haven't we?
It's interesting. Is obviously now since COVID, I think most people use cards rather than cash.
Yeah.
A lot of places like my nail salon takes tips.
Yeah.
The hair part can't accept tips on a card payment.
Oh, can we not?
No.
Oh wow.
So they. Unfortunately, if you don't have.
Well, it's like at a restaurant, there can be. Like even there's a couple of restaurants where you go and even add gratitude. It's like, and they're staring at you, and you're like, yeah, £5 for like I'm on like a breakfast place somewhere like £5. You know what I mean? So it's definitely more common now, isn't it?
Definitely.
To be a bribe into an obligation that makes the end of every meal suck.
The American military is probably the best in the world, as it should be, since it's also one of the best funded militaries in the world. In fact, the U.S. spends several times more on their military than their nearest competitor, China. What's more, there are more than a few American citizens who have a higher than average fascination with their own military and its culture.
I thank you as your commander-in-chief because you inspire me. Your willingness to serve, to step forward at a time of war and say, send me, is the reason the United States stays strong and free.
While other countries certainly appreciate their troops, you don't, see as many people wearing camouflage as a legitimate fashion statement. Likewise, you don't see movies made elsewhere that glorify the military to the degree that the U.S. does.
Do me a favor.
We need to check this out.
Tell my children I love them very much.
Oh. I don't even know the context.
You alien assholes!
What?
In the words of my generation, up
Part of the American enthusiasm is certainly rooted in patriotism. Still, it may also be a reaction to an increasingly anti-military sentiment that has popped up over the last several decades.
No war, okay? No war, okay? Oh, here you go, boys. These will help you protest. It's good to see that you care about peace, boys, okay?
Number 12. Use red plastic cups.
Yeah, that's massive.
If you've ever seen an American movie where a college party happens, chances are you've seen characters drinking from red cups.
We sell them, but they say American party cups.
Literally, yeah.
On the tag.
They literally just say
These red
They literally say American party cups, because they're red, and then they're literally just red ones. It's mad, innit?
Plastic or solo cups are everywhere in the U.S. The cheap drinking containers are a favorite at parties, both for their durability and their ease of use in party games. While they're also handy for crafts or gardening, they're most famous for their intended purpose. However, the rest of the world either doesn't have the United States party culture's emphasis on kegs or lacks the same distinctive cups, originally manufactured by the Solo Cup Company. At most,
that's
you
why they
might
called it.
see them at a novelty American-themed party. Number 11, wear shoes inside.
Yeah,
Taking off your shoes before
I mean,
you
don't be
enter
wrong.
a home.
There probably is some British people who do it. Most people take their shoes off at the door, don't they?
Yeah.
I'd be confident in saying that. Not everyone, but 99%.
I feel
maybe
weird
90%.
walking through with my shoes on.
Yeah, and a lot of the time I'll be like, well, get to myself, do you want me to take my shoes off? And even if they say no, I'll take it off anyway. Because sometimes people say, oh, don't worry about it, for ease.
Yeah.
But if you're in the kitchen on the hard floor or something like that, but I'm always like, yeah, I'll take it off anyway. 'Cause
Yeah.
I don't know, I just feel weird having my
Yeah,
shoes
I
on.
don't know, it feels like...
I don't know
especially if
what
they
I've
have
stepped in.
carpets, I feel like...
Oh, on the carpets, yeah. I'm like, yeah, get these bad boys off, I ain't staying in that.
No, yeah, I don't know why, I just don't
Or
like
at
it.
least in the entryway is pretty common etiquette in many countries.
Don't do that. Why'd you take your shoes off? So I don't break your nose.
And while many Americans do
All right,
prefer to
Mr.
keep
Fox.
footwear off their floors, it isn't a hard and fast rule like it is in other
Go on,
places.
lad.
Often it will depend on whether the person has carpeted floors or hardwood floors,
Okay.
with the latter considered easier to clean. Since it's not considered the norm, though, asking guests to take off their shoes indoors can come across as rude or fussy, and so is often avoided.
Whereas
Number
we
10,
ask if we
eat
can
peanut butter
keep them
as
on or
their
not.
go-to spread. Peanuts are grown and eaten in many parts
I like
of the
peanut
world.
butter.
But it's the United States and Canada that do most of the peanut butter eating.
Peanut butter man now, eh, sir?
Yes, I believe I am. I thoroughly enjoy this peanut butter.
A lot of countries see it as a niche or even unpleasant taste. Others have a spread
like
that
it.
is more culturally ingrained, like Nutella. The USA
Oh,
cannot
see, yeah.
get enough of
I prefer peanut butter over Nutella any day of the week.
See, I don't like either.
Oh, there you go.
So maybe I'm just not a spread person.
Maybe you're just not a nut person.
Yeah, I don't think I am.
Yeah, I think that's the common
I
thing.
prefer jam.
Yeah, see, that's a spread, so it must be the nut thing.
Yeah, nuts are-
I love a nut.
no.
That sounds mad.
peanut butter, though,
Ooh.
consuming
You are
over a
nuts.
billion pounds of it annually. January 24th is even National Peanut Butter Day.
Oh,
It's a
wow.
cheap source of protein that most American children grow up eating, so it's no wonder that it's a comfort food for many of them. Number 9, work too much.
Yeah, this
Americans
is
are
a big one.
workaholics, at least compared to basically every other country in the
Yeah,
world.
we're lazy in the
The
UK.
majority of Americans work more than 40 hours
I'll take
a
it, though.
week.
Unless my
Why
boss
do we
is
do
looking.
this to
I'm not
ourselves?
lazy.
Well, the conventional answer is that this attitude towards work
off.
makes the American economy the envy of the world. America is a hectic, turbocharged system that builds, destroys, rebuilds, all at warp speed.
They also tend to
At
lack
warp
many of the
speed.
things the rest of the world takes for granted, like paid holidays as well as
Yeah.
sick and parental leave.
42
Research
days in
has
Italy?
shown that happier,
Wow.
less stressed workers do better at their jobs. Iceland even recently tried a 4-day work week that proved wildly successful.
I'm not having
There's
that.
lots
though.
of other benefits to a 4-day
Don't be
week.
wrong. Again, if my boss, I don't think he is watching. If he is, I'll take a 4-day work week. But if people, I hate the argument, and this is, I would love a 4-day work week, but I hate the argument, if we do 4, we'll technically work harder because we're not working for 5 and we'll get just as
You
much
won't.
done.
Just be like working 5 days, but just...
But then if you're a boss, you're like, well, if you can work harder, why are you not working harder all 5 days? And then
Yeah.
getting even more done, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I hate that
don't believe
argument.
it. It's
But
just...
if my boss is looking, give me a 4-day week, please. I doubt it.
3-day week, please.
But do you know what I mean? Like when people say, oh, you get as much done because you're more energized, like, no.
No.
You know what I mean? Let us know what you think about that in the comments below. I would love a 4-day week, though.
I've got a no-day week.
Yeah, you're on maternity leave, you're lucky.
The working week. It's not just the it's not just the mental health and economy. Good for the economy. It's also environmental benefits too. Evidence looks like when we're commuting less as a result of a 4-day week, that brings down emissions.
I get that
also
one. That makes
energy
sense.
consumption goes down. So this is a policy that's win-win for the environment, for workers, for employers. What's
I
not
don't
to
know
like
about employers.
Several
It's not for
European
employers.
countries take long breaks for lunch. While the American drive is admirable, grind culture becomes problematic when it costs workers their mental health and well-being. Number 8, make small talk with strangers.
I like that.
Americans are known for their friendliness
Positive
towards
vibes.
strangers,
Yeah.
especially outside of big cities. It's not uncommon for Americans to smile at each other in passing, but their comfort with new people also extends to small talk.
Yeah, I
saying
like that.
hello or even striking up a conversation out of the blue.
I could do that. Yeah.
And feel you would be unable or unwilling to perform the duties listed on the safety card, please ask a flight attendant to reseat you.
In many countries, speaking to strangers unprompted can be seen as intrusive or even risky. Many Americans are masters of the art, though, often happy to chat with people they've never met about the weather, sports, or whatever
sports,
else comes up in conversation.
It looks like a carrot, honey.
Who looks like a carrot? Hi.
Number 7. Casually own guns. In many countries, gun laws are strict and gun ownership is relatively rare. In the US, gun ownership is protected by the Second Amendment, and gun ownership is the highest in the world. Despite making up 4% of the global population, Americans own 46% of civilian-held firearms.
It is mad,
There's
isn't
a
it?
distinct
like,
gun.
Again, we don't get into the is it right, is it wrong? We don't get into that. But what we get into is the only time I've ever seen a gun in my life is at the airport security.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. So the fact that you could be walking around and see a gun is mental to me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, the idea of it is like, what? Do you know what I mean? Like, then you walk past and there's just a gun store. Never seen that in my life. So the idea of walking past a gun store, being able to walk in, it's like, wow, what? Do you know what I mean? Like, just for shock value. I'm not saying whether it's right or wrong, I'm not getting into that. But it's just like, oh, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I think it's the same for you as well.
Yeah, I think it's just weird that you don't know who's got one on them.
But I mean, you also don't, like,
Looking
everyone
down the
could in
street,
theory, because
you don't know who.
it's legal.
Mm.
Like, in the UK, obviously, there will be some illegal guns, right? But you assume 99% of people don't have them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Instead of, I guess, assuming people have them. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's
Yeah,
just different, isn't it?
Culture, where gun ownership is celebrated or at least seen as important for personal safety. Most states even allow you to open carry.
But it's a lucky thing I had my pieces.
Your pieces.
My guns.
Oh.
I just pulled them out.
I started blasting. Bam! Bam!
Of course, the issue is extremely divisive
Yes.
due to the country's high rate
we
of
did,
gun
didn't we?
deaths. Either way, the idea
Not
of
this one,
having
though.
so many guns around is a novel one
It's
for many
interactive.
visitors.
Yeah.
Guns.
That's number 3. There we go.
Guns.
Number 6, put sales tax on everything.
Yeah.
Sales
Yeah.
tax is paid
We've
when you
talked
buy
about this
something,
loads, haven't we?
and
Yeah.
the business you purchased your goods from sends that money to the government. There are 2 types of sales tax: general sales tax and excise taxes.
Okay.
General sales tax is a tax levied on most goods you buy.
That's what we know about.
Excise taxes are taxes levied only on certain items.
Okay.
Most countries enact a value-added tax, or VAT, on goods or services purchased within their borders. These taxes are collected from every person in the supply chain, from the distributors to the consumers. The United States is one of the few to use sales tax, which not only vary wildly from state to state, but are only enacted after a purchase has been made.
Yeah.
The state treasury depends on sales taxes to pay for road repairs, education, and medical care for children, seniors, and the poor.
They're also not listed in the initial price, which can leave foreign visitors and many Americans scratching their head as to why they're being charged more than the price on the
It's
product.
soon to get used to those,
Better
isn't it?
Yeah.
or worse?
Confusing
You
at
decide.
first, though.
It's certainly more confusing.
What's the advice then? If you're going to buy a big ticket item, where's the cheapest sales tax?
Well, you know, you can go online and look at all the sales tax rates for different cities, and if you look at one dealership or one, you know, Best Buy or something like that, you can find the different zip codes and look at the sales tax rates and just see how much that'll little take off, and then take your family out for a nice night.
There you go.
Number 5, recite a pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
Yeah, I love that as well.
to the flag of the United States of America.
In many parts
I
of the
love it.
United States,
Yeah.
So
children
patriotic.
and adults in some settings are expected to recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
Back then, in 1892, when it was written by Francis Bellamy, Bellamy was a Baptist minister, and in conjunction with a magazine called The Youth's Companion, he wrote this, at that time, 23-word Pledge of Allegiance.
This is an expression that they will be loyal to the USA, and is usually performed daily while looking at the nation's flag, which you will find hanging everywhere, by the way.
Which I also
this
love.
This isn't something other countries do. They might salute or respect their flag and country, but to make school children recite an oath to the country? The pledge has been the subject of plenty of controversy within the US, too, particularly since it mentions God. While some schools no longer require it, it remains a widespread practice.
Yeah, I don't know the pledge, but I love the patriotic side of it.
Look different, sound different, but we are all on the same team.
Number 4, Watch ads for prescription drugs.
Yeah, we don't get
Aside from
this.
New
No, we don't
Zealand,
do that.
the United States is the only country in the world that advertises prescription drugs directly to consumers. Every day, Americans are bombarded with ads for prescription medications, featuring generic, pleasing imagery and a list of side effects longer than a flagpole.
Side effects may include upper respiratory infection, stuffy or runny nose, and sore throat and headache.
Many people, Americans included, are baffled by the practice, as doctors and not patients are meant to decide what drugs to prescribe.
True.
Proponents claim
Yeah,
that
like I
advertising
wouldn't.
increased.
I've had a bite recently, haven't I? And I had to get some antibiotics to fight the infection. I would have zero clue any names of any antibiotics to even think about helping. I want to rock up like, oh, mate, I know you're going to prescribe me these ones, but I think I need them ones because I saw a good ad on it. You know what I mean? And then them potentially more stronger, and he may potentially give you that. I'd be like, okay,
I
yeah.
thought that was their job.
Yeah, that is the job at the end of the day. Obviously, there was massive controversy about, I think it was about doctors picking ones and they got more money for giving out a certain amount of them.
Because
So,
in America you pay, don't you? It's...
yeah, they made more money and stuff like that. I know there was massive controversy about that, but it's just mad you see him on advertisements, isn't it?
Increases competition and lowers drug costs. Meanwhile, prescription drugs are typically far more expensive in the United States, as the U.S. doesn't regulate or negotiate drug prices. Number 3, put months before days.
Yeah.
Most of humanity marks calendar dates as being day first, then month, then year.
Yeah.
The date. Assuming the first two numbers are some big old space date, then you've got year, month, day. It's the other way around like it is in America.
Or else the opposite as year, month, then day. The reasoning is that you can go from the shortest value to the longest or vice versa.
Okay.
Yet the United States and parts of Canada eschew both these formats by putting the month first, then day, then year.
Yeah, it's confusing
the
to
US
us.
has been using this format basically since its founding, although it has used the day first format interchangeably too. The exact reason why is debatable, but as far as practicality goes, it can be useful when filling out forms to know which month it is before which day or year.
Okay, makes
Number
sense.
2, go bankrupt from healthcare. Medical costs
Yeah,
are the
sad,
cause
innit?
of over
That is
60% of all bankruptcies in the United States.
In 2017, 1/3 of the money raised on GoFundMe went towards
wow.
medical campaigns. And the site raises $650 million a year for more than 250,000 medical campaigns.
Americans
So
experience a
expensive.
variety of unexpected charges while getting much needed care, from surprise bills to being charged for riding in an ambulance.
According to one study,
Yeah, see, that's mad.
71% of all ambulance providers do not take the patient's insurance. That same study found that 79% of patients who took an ambulance could get a surprise bill, with an average total around $450.
That's
In
mad,
some
innit?
parts of the civilized world, even seeing a medical bill can be an uncommon occurrence. Healthcare worldwide tends to be much more regulated than it is in the US. It's either funded through taxes in a single-payer system or else through individual insurers who are more strictly monitored.
Other countries, they don't have this problem. Instead of every private insurance company negotiating with every healthcare provider, there's just this big list. Country, the central government, they go and they say, if you want to sell to us, to all of our people, then here's what you can charge for a checkup.
Oh, wow.
Here's what you can charge for an MRI or a prescription for Lipitor.
Bottom line, while there can sometimes be extra charges, for most of the world, medical debt is basically unheard of.
Yeah, it's nowhere near as
Except
bad.
in
Yeah,
horror
definitely.
stories about the US.
Can't get a credit card. I can't buy a house. I don't see me ever being out of debt.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and
Same
ring
here,
the
would
bell to
appreciate
get
it.
notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1, use the Imperial measurement system.
Can you explain to me?
Yes.
I mean, I think most people know that we're metric, and most of Europe is metric, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know where it is metric or not, but most places are metric. But switching from Imperial to metric now would be so much hassle for them.
Yeah, what's the point? May as well
All the bank,
May as well
everything.
just do what they're doing.
It's not a biggie, really.
Men and hopefully women to the moon.
Yeah, all and beyond.
Still are in gallons and inches.
Mm.
And when the entire world is metric, I do not understand this.
There are 3 countries in the world that don't use the metric system.
Only
Myanmar,
3?
Liberia, and the United States.
Wow.
Objectively, metric is the less arbitrary measurement system, since everything goes by tens. Even Britain and Commonwealth.
Can I just say, at the start they said about Americans using America.
Yep.
She just referred to it as the United States.
Oh, there you go. Is she American?
countries have converted.
The point is, the U.S. system has always been a little more accessible than metric. Sure, stacking up 12 thumb widths to make a foot, that's still kind of weird, but it's not so weird that we're clamoring to change it.
Although, admittedly, they do still use measurements like feet and inches casually.
So now I can't ask a distance when I visit another country. I'm like, how far is that? They're like, that's 500 kilometers. I'm not in the Olympics.
So why hasn't the U.S. converted? We'll give you one guess. Did you say it's because of money? Because money is definitely a big factor.
Yeah, the banks
Converting
and
to
stuff.
a whole new system of measurement is expensive. Other factors include a need for control and stability of the U.S. So, inertia, basically. Why change when you don't need to?
Yeah,
You know what your mom says. If all the other countries jumped off a bridge, would the U.S. do it too? Or something like that.
A 2015 Rasmussen poll asked Americans if we should
Why-
switch to
why
the metric
break
system
was
and adopt
not
Celsius
broken?
as our
Why
main
fix was
temperature
not
scale.
broken?
64% said no, while 21% said yes, and the remaining 15% was undecided.
So they couldn't care.
So it looks like we're perfectly fine with being different.
Did you enjoy
Yeah.
this
There's
video?
nothing wrong with being decent.
That's
As
the
long
point.
as it works, there's no issue.
As long as it works, why bother?
Definitely. Smash the like button, guys. Smash the subscribe button. That's good, wasn't it?
It was good.
A few new ones in there. Quite a lot of old ones. We managed to clarify thoughts. Again, as well, because some of these videos we did, which we would have addressed this, were potentially 2.5 years ago. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Our thoughts change, our opinions change, we forget things, so it's good to also update on what our feeling is.
Definitely.
Because maybe it's coming to the UK even more in the years.
Mhm.
Smash the like button, guys. Smash the subscribe button. What should we do?
Have a fantastic day.
And we'll see you, legends, in the next one. Peace.